Yeah, yeah, yeah. Click, click, boom. What's going on, faithfuls? The Nothing But Niners crew is back, man. Week 8 is here, and it's time for part 2 of the game preview. The 49ers are at home, and we prepare to take on the Carolina Panthers, who are coming in here hot, 4-2, just off of their bye week. They are well rested, and they are reserved. They are ready to go, man. Cam Newton's still on the sideline. Kyle Allen is in, but we got a lot of things to talk about. There's some more shuffling going on over there. Now, we have to go through all the formalities. If you guys hate this part, you're watching this on the rewatch, you can skip ahead about 4 or 5 minutes. But listen, check out the website, guys. It is www.nothingbutniners.com. That is your one-stop shop for any and everything 49ers. So you guys want to make sure you check it out. Brought to you by us here at Nothing But Niners. So guys, please, please, please make sure you hit up the website. If this is your first time here on the YouTube page, we want to thank you guys for checking us out. All right. Make sure you guys hit that like, hit that subscribe button. Make sure you turn those notifications on, because every time we go live with an impromptu video, you'll get the notification right to your phone. So make sure it's turned on. Okay. If this is your first time here on the Facebook feed, we want to thank you guys for checking us out. Make sure you type in your name so that way we can give you some credit. All right. Our Facebook and our Instagram handles are exactly the same. That is Nothing But Niners. That is spelled all the way out. Okay, guys, you can send emails, questions, comments, concerns, photos of yourself in your game day attire, your pets, your car, the outside of your house. You got a flag? I want to see those flags, guys. Let me see those flags. Send us an email to nbniners@nothingbutniners.com. Again, that is nbniners@nothingbutniners.com. So make sure you send us an email. Show us some doggone love, okay? We appreciate that, guys, all right? And last but certainly not least, is our Twitter and our Snapchat handles. Guys, those are everywhere you want to be. That's the biggest way to contact us, especially on Twitter, at NothingBut9ERS. Now, I don't do much about the Snapchat. That's my man, Nick. And speaking of my man, Nick, let's get him up in here right now. 49er Faithful 365. What's up, baby?
All day, every day. Bang,
right.
Bang, Niner gang. What is going on?
Not much at all, man. I'm ready to talk some 49ers football, man. You know, this is going to be a really fun game, man. A lot of people are saying this is the toughest task the 49ers have had up to date, Nick. I mean, how you feeling over there about this game?
I can agree that it's probably one of the tougher games. I don't think it's the toughest, only because of I'm still waiting to hear the news on Levine Toilolo, because that's going to have a lot to deal with on how I feel about this game. And I know that that's not a name that you guys expect to hear. Levine Toilolo, like, what's he going to do? Well, he's a very big, intricate part of this offense with Ross Dwelly playing fullback since Kyle Juszczyk's out. So I'm going to be looking forward to that and seeing once that game time decision stuff comes out, if he's going to play or not, because that's going to have a big factor in our run game. And if George Kittle is going to have the chance to be able to go off on his national tight end day. So, but like you said, Mike, I think this is one of the tougher choices that are games that we've had to face so far. Their defensive front has 15 sacks this year. They rushed 4. They're identical to us, and we'll get into all that. So,
absolutely, man. Their team as a whole is like up there with the sacks. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, like you said, we're going to break all that down. Let's start with some 49ers rumors before we get down to the actual matchup and how it's going to shake out. Okay. Adam Schefter is tweeting out now. This is about 5 minutes ago, maybe 10 minutes ago. 49ers have gotten inquiries on backup quarterback CJ Beathard, a name that bears some watching at the trade deadline. A name that bears some watching. I heard that the Bears were in the market for another quarterback, but I don't think they'd be looking for CJ Beathard, right? But what teams do you think could possibly be calling about CJ Noke Beathard?
Oh man. Who? I'd have to think about that.
The only team that I can come up with is probably the Broncos, right? Like, they're running the same system. You got our former quarterback coach over there as their offensive coordinator, right? But why wasn't that part of the package when we got Sanders?
Right. That's why I wouldn't consider Denver. Man, he's not better than Mitch Trubisky. So I don't see him going to Chicago. But I don't know. I have to think about that. I have to think about what team it would be. It wouldn't be. So Theo Romo says the Chiefs, but Matt Moore knows that system over there. So I don't think it would be him. And due to the fact of Patrick Mahomes being double jointed, which saved his knee, the report came out this morning, that's why his patella slid out, his kneecap, and he'll be back next week. So I don't think any of those guys I mean, Somebody says the Patriots. Who's their backup over there? They've always getting rid of their backup, so I have no idea.
Yeah, but Hoyer's still available. Like, I think they would grab Hoyer before they grab Beathard. I could be wrong, but I think they would grab Hoyer first. The only Broncos is really sticking out in my head. What if Flacco had some kind of setback or something, or their backup had a setback? It doesn't necessarily have to be Joe Flacco, but whoever their backup is, if that person had a setback, then maybe CJ Beathard gets upped on their list. And you know what I'm saying? I'm not sure, man. I don't know, but the Bengals, I see the Bengals in there. Miami, I don't see them trading for some. They're in tank mode right now. Why trade to acquire somebody in their last year contract? So that's the other thing we have to take into consideration here when we're trying to figure this out and diagnose this, right? This is his last year in the contract. So whoever's trading for him needs him as an emergency go-to guy that's not going to require a lot of training. They're probably not going to have him next year. So it's down to a team that knows this system. Is there a problem with Jared Goff? Maybe the Rams. Would we trade him in division? Like maybe the Rams. I don't know, man. This is interesting. This is very, very interesting. So it's something to keep our eye on. If we could trade him, all right. Here's the question that's probably a lot more fun to answer. What compensation are you willing to accept for CJ Beathard? Not,
bro. If
be rude.
What would I be willing to accept? A third or fourth. That's it. Like, that's the lowest I'll go because, A, you get the fourth back that you gave up this year in the Emmanuel Sanders trade, or you get the third back that you drafted him at.
I would accept a sixth or a seventh. I would accept a seventh, a conditional seventh that'll go up to a sixth if he starts at all. You know what I'm saying? Because that contract year, that hurts us. You know what I'm saying? I would like to get more. Don't get me wrong. But if they came at us with a seventh, I'd be CJ.
Yeah, but he's got 2 years left on his contract.
Does he?
Yeah.
I thought this was his last year. This is his third year. Oh, you're right. He's got one more after this.
Yeah, he's got one more year.
You're right. You're right.
So, you got to get something back more than a sixth or a seventh. Like, that's not even – you're selling yourself short. I know he's not big with Niners fans, but he is still he can fit in this. Maybe he just can't fit into this system, this type of system, like I said, the fifth is probably the lowest I'll go.
All right. We'll see what happens, though. Whatever we can get, I say we take him for it all and send CJ packing. All right.
Before we move on, just want to give Randall that shout out real quick. Appreciate the effort you guys put in for week to week faithful updates. So we appreciate you guys for coming back week to week for our faithful updates. So big shout out to you for that donation, Randall. Appreciate you, man, and go Niners.
Absolutely, man. So it's time to get down to this this preview, man. So the Niners are undefeated still. The Panthers are undefeated with Kyle Allen. They've decided to roll with this young quarterback for another week. And I think that's the perfect place to start. What do the Panthers bring on offense that makes you not so much worried? I'm not worried about anything, but what makes you hesitate? What causes a pause when you hear about trade CJ for a foot massage? I'm sorry. What causes a pause when you think about playing this Panthers team?
The only thing that really scares me about this whole system is one, Christian McCaffrey, and two, this offense is running better under Kyle Allen than it is with Cam Newton. But Christian McCaffrey is by far the biggest worry that I have because he is a game changer. And it's offensively. It's not just a defensive person who's a game changer. It's offensively. So that means if you don't stop him, they continue to put up points and more points and more points and put that stress on our defense or put that stress on our offense to score a lot more points. Right now, we've been sailing through and being able to score, 20 points is good enough. You know what I mean? We're only averaging 10.6 points per game for, opposing offenses. So, you got to score more than 20. That puts us in too. But yeah, he's probably the only biggest factor. But I'm not worried about Kyle Allen, but this offense definitely runs better with him behind the helm.
I'm not willing to say they run better. Their offense is more dynamic with Cam Newton in there. I think that goes without. A lot of people like that, his accuracy and all that kind of stuff and all, but Cam Newton brings a dual threat, huge arm. He's got a bigger arm than Allen does. He's check down king over there. He makes Christian McCaffrey look good, and then he can run it. He's got everything that you need over there. Their offense is definitely more dynamic. North Turner has Cam Newton looking pretty good when he's healthy and playing. We got to also remember that Cam Newton's been battling injuries for a while too, and that 0-2 start has people like, he's not good, he's not good, he's not good. Cam's fine. He's a better quarterback than Kyle Allen, and he should be the starter when he's healthy. That's just the way it is. I worry. What?
I disagree with you, but we're not talking about the Panthers today. We'll talk about that on another time. But
I mean, this is the Panthers show. This is the one for it.
I disagree with you. I think Cam has a very good arm, but his arm isn't anywhere near that it used to be since his shoulder injury. Nowhere near. He throws the ball. Even Carolina doesn't even throw the ball deep because they have no receivers anymore. How many times have you seen the Panthers throw deep over 20+ yards this year?
They do it, bro. But Cam's only played for 2 games. Now they're not doing it because Kyle Allen's in there now.
But I'm talking about going back to last year. You even seen it in Cam Newton last year. So yes, you get the dual threat. You get the ability for him to run. And you don't have in Kyle. I think Kyle Allen's a way more accurate quarterback than Cam Newton is. Going back and watching their games, I think he's just a more accurate. He's a more accurate passer than Cam Newton is, and I don't know. We'll just see it put on full out blast today, but it could just be because I'm not a big Cam Newton fan, and I think that he's overhyped. So it could just be my opinion on him because, look, this kid came in here. He's 4-0. Cam came in. He was 0-2. He runs the team better. It's kind of like the Carson Wentz, Nick Foles batter. He runs that team better. I'm telling you.
Who's a better quarterback, Carson Wentz or Nick Foles? What are you thinking about?
Because it depends on the system.
No, it doesn't.
Do you see Carson Wentz this year?
Okay, yes, I have. And still, with that being said, who's a better quarterback?
I'd probably take Foles, to be honest with you.
I think you're doing that to be a contrarian. There's no way you're
serious. I said last year that they should have got rid of Wentz and kept Foles. He ran the team that much better.
All right. Well, then I'm just gonna. All right. So what gives me pause about this Carolina offense? It's not even Christian McCaffrey, believe it or not. It's how they're going to use guys like Samuel. I think he's going to be someone that our corners can have a little bit of a struggle with. This guy's feet are extremely fast, and I really, really like him. But, they are going to – this offense absolutely runs through Christian McCaffrey, with Cam in there or without Cam in there. He touches the ball almost as much as the quarterback does, and that's just absurd. Christian McCaffrey can have a really bad week, but if you're looking at box scores and fantasy numbers, it looks like he's good, right? This guy had 15 carries for 22 yards on the ground against the Buccaneers, but he had 2 rushing touchdowns and 6 receptions to go along with it. So his numbers never seem to look bad, especially because we are in such a microwave era right now where we're watching sports and then we see the number 1 rated running back for the week come across the screen is Christian McCaffrey, and obviously a point, 22.9. Well, Christian McCaffrey's having a hell of a game. No, 22 yards rushing is not a hell of a game. But they will continue to force feed this guy the ball in and out. That doesn't worry me. If you were going to make your offense one-sided and one-dimensional, bring it on. I love that. I want them to do that. So it's not really him that worries me. I think what one of my biggest concerns is going to be this week is also going to be the offensive line. They have been shuffling offensive linemen around. They should be getting some guys back right now. It's going to be interesting to see who they put at left tackle. I'm not quite sure who it's going to be, but I talked about that in my bold prediction piece also. You guys should check that out. They're moving a lot of guys around. They have a rookie tackle that's in there who's actually playing better than the guy that's a starter. But because North Turner likes veterans, he might actually put the veteran back in there who's playing worse than the rookie. So we'll see what happens, and we'll go from there. Their offense doesn't scare me a lot, especially with how I know we're going to get after the quarterback. And so let's flip it to their defense. Everyone's saying that their defensive line is as good as ours. Now, you're hearing that more so when I say everyone from the 49er side of the ball. Kyle Shanahan, Jimmy Garoppolo, those are the guys saying that their defensive line is as good as ours and they can get after the quarterback with just rushing 4. Do you think that they're saying that to compliment the opposing team so you don't disrespect them? Or do you think that Kyle Shanahan and Jimmy Garoppolo truly believe that their front 4 is just as good as ours at getting after the quarterback?
Well, I mean, I think that there's some truth to it. If you look at the statistics, they're getting a sack 12% of the time. You know what I mean? So that's still good front 4. And if you watch their tape, they do just rush 4 a lot. And you got, obviously it's Brian Burns playing out of this world. Obviously you got Addison, who's playing really, really good. Then you have Gerald McCoy. And what's their other guy? I can't think of his name right now. Addison, McCoy, Burns. But anyway, their leading sack guy has 6 sacks, I believe. And he's the one who's really producing, which is I believe it's Addison, but I'm not sure. But anyway, they play almost the same type of defense as we do with their front 4. You see, they kind of it's not a true wide 9. They don't slide out as far, but they do give you those gaps. Short, but he's hurt, right? Short's hurt.
Yeah, no, Short's on IR right now. They're using Irvin, Addison, McCoy, and Burns.
Okay, Irving. That's who it was. That's why I couldn't think of the name. I don't know why I couldn't think of that name. Irving just sticks out. But it when you watch these guys on tape, they remind me of us so much because of their pressure up front. And then they have Bradbury, who has 3 interceptions, but there are things that he's not good at. So, it's going to be interesting. It's really going to be interesting to watch this front up against. And like I said, it comes down to, for me, if Toilolo plays or not. And I know that's kind of weird, but he's going to be a huge factor in this game if we can't utilize George Kittle the way we want to and have to bring him in. But then again, I have this other type of feeling that Kyle Shanahan's going to figure out a way to do it because I just have that faith in him. So,
so I'll be honest with you. I don't think their front 4 is as good as ours. I don't. I really, really, really don't. And it's not just PFF grades that make me think that they're effective, absolutely. But they're not as effective as ours. You know what I mean? I think that they can get after the quarterback. They do. I'm not worried about Irvin. You know what I mean? I'm not worried about some of these other guys. Burns, he's a rookie. He is playing well. I'm never gonna trash. I'm never gonna trash McCoy. I love McCoy. I don't know if you remember when I found out that he was on his way out. I was like, we should get him. And y'all thought I was nuts for that, but I love McCoy. And Addison, he's playing admirably also. No pun intended on the play of words of his name, but he's playing well also. But I'm not worried about it, man.
And that's the thing. I'm not saying that they're better than our guys, but their production right now is better than what we're doing. And their production's better, Mike. It's literally better. They have 15 sacks on the year. Their front 4 is playing. Their pressure rate and sacks are higher than what our front 4 is doing right now.
We have 20 sacks on the year.
I understand that. But what I'm saying you add in their pressure rate and percentage, we get a sack on 4.2% of the time. Theirs is only 12. Still, yes, it's still a little bit different. But
that's a huge difference. They're not getting the sacks 3 times as the clip as we are.
But I'm not comparing them to say they're better than ours. I'm comparing and saying they're equivalent to ours as in what they're doing. So that's not people versus people. That's not, Gerald McCoy versus DeForest Buckner. That's not Nick Bosa compared to Addison. You know, that's not what I'm doing here. The production that they're getting reminds me of the production that we get and the way that we use our front four. That's all I'm trying to say. That they're the same type of defense up front as we present ourselves to be. That doesn't mean that it's better, it's worse, but their production is there. And this is going to be, out of all four of their guys, the best defensive line that we faced all year.
As a team, they have 7 more sacks than us. And yeah, I do agree with you that this is going to be the best defensive line we face. Although Brown's defensive line was pretty good too. But, well, I'm going to let that go. But yeah, I mean, listen, they're blitzing. They're getting pressure from all over the place. It's not just their front four, and that's why I'm saying that. Bruce Irvin, he's not it. Now, what I will say is that they have veterans that are going to be coming after our corners. And Burns is a little banged up. There was a question at one point earlier this week whether or not he was even going to be playing. I don't think this is the game for them. I really, really don't. So, I mean, we'll see what happens, but I just don't think this ain't the year for them. I don't think this is the year for them. You know what I'm saying? So, thank you. I mean, not the year. I don't think this is the game for them. I'm sorry, not the year. I don't think this is the game for them. Trying to get someone to join us here, so it's kind of back and forth. I'm sorry about that. I don't know.
Eternal Creator says 10 of the Panthers sacks are against the Bucks.
No, he's telling the truth.
Yeah,
that's a fact.
That is a fact. I know that.
That's an insane amount.
They played the Bucks too. Did we put up 10 sacks?
We played them twice, bro.
Oh yeah, but they had 7 in one game.
That's my point.
We didn't put 7 up in one game against Jameis Winston.
If we had to play them a second time, I bet you we would have. We would have known their tendencies.
Yeah, but they put up 7 their first game.
The second time.
All right. Well, anyway, either way, I'm not saying their defensive line is better. I still have 100% full trust in our defense being better than their up front four. But they play the same way we play. That was the only point I was trying to make.
They are aggressive with the front four. They do leave 7 in coverage a lot, which is what you were getting at. So, how do we attack their secondary? Because their corners aren't half bad. Their safeties are pretty good too. How do we attack the secondary, man?
Well, I think you got to get them with the quick outs, the quick slants. Your run game has to be on point to open that up.
Mm-hmm.
We have to be able to get. Now we know Jimmy Garoppolo is one of the quarterbacks to get the ball out the fastest. What is it, a 2.8 second release time or whatever it is?
I think it's 2.3.
Oh, 2.3. All right. Well, yeah. So 2.3, 2.8, big difference there. But I think we got to be able to run the football, slow down their aggressive pass rush. If we can run the football, that'll open up the play action for, I think, quick slants and also the screen game. I'll tell you what, I think you're going to see a lot more of today is a lot more outside zone running. I think you're going to see a lot more outside zone running. We've been switching on and off all year between inside, outside, inside, outside. All games have been different. I think that we may see last game against Washington, we played both. We did a lot of inside and a lot of outside. If you go to the Pittsburgh game, we tried to do a lot of outside. We tried to get around TJ Watt, right? So I think that's kind of what we try to do here because McCoy is still really good against the rush in the middle. Brian Burns is really good on the outside. So I think that we try to take their outside edge guys out.
You caught me chewing. I'm going to bring in Tony.
Y'all are killing me, eating on video, drinking on video.
I got to get the heat off me, bro. I'm sorry. Tony, man, we're talking about how we attack the secondary or their defense in general. What are your thoughts on the Panthers defense? How do we attack these guys? What's the game plan for today offensively for the 49ers?
I think, first of all, what's up, fellas? First of all, I think they have a really good defense, front seven wise. I think you are going to see the run game, but I think Kyle's going to mix it up. I think he's going to go outside zone. I think he's going to go inside zone. I also think he's going to go power, where he's going to pull the guards to really get them off balance up front, to confuse them. Then after that, other than the run game, you're going to see the play action pass, which is obviously set up by the run game. That's what I think. That's what I think is going to happen. You're going to see the screen game too as well. I think Kyle's going to try to get this defensive front to think before they actually react, before they actually just pin their ears back and go. Their outside guys are very light in the pants, so you could run right at them. Literally, you could pull a guard, have the tackle blocked down, the guard kicks out the last man in the line of scrimmage. A 245-pound guy versus a 300-pound guy, who's going to win that battle, and then they're going to run right off of that. That's where I think they're going to attack the edges, like Nick said, but I also think Kyle's going to confuse them, go inside, and go power as well.
So who's the running back that you're trusting to go inside with power? Or do you think it doesn't? Do you think it doesn't make a big difference for us?
I don't think Kyle's going to start doing that. Specifically, Coleman's going to come in for the inside. Reed is going to come in for the outside. Mostert's going to come in for the screen. I don't like doing that, labeling a player when they come on the field, because that kind of tips off the defense. So I think all three of these guys are going to be rotating in, no matter what the call is, no matter what the formation is. I think Kyle's just going to keep rotating them in and keeping them fresh.
I got you. Before you jumped in here, I asked Nick what part of the Carolina Panthers offense worries you the most. So I'm going to ask you that same question, because, we know how they're going to force feed McCaffrey. The offense runs through him, but what gives you the most pause? Or if you have a legit worry, then let me know, something that you're worried about the Niners being able to cover or defend. But what do you think is the best, or their best asset against the 49ers defense?
I'm worried about the matchup with McCaffrey, and I'm also worried about the speed of I think his name is Curtis Samuels and DJ Moore.
Curtis Samuel, yeah, that's what I was telling Nick. That's the guy I was most worried about.
DJ Moore is fast. His hands are inconsistent. So I think North Turner is going to get really, really creative today and try to go pick his matchup, kind of like what Kyle does. Not to the same level of Kyle, but I think you're going to try to see him put maybe Samuel on Sherman or something like that to try to get an edge. But we have one huge thing going for us. Our front four, according to PFF, their front line is horrible. I don't think the highest guy rated is a 70, if that. Their center's a 40 or a 50. Their interior to line, they're bigger guys, yes, but according to Pro Football Focus, they're not grading out well, which is kind of weird because their run game is pretty decent with McCaffrey. That just shows how good of a runner McCaffrey is, how he has the ability to make something out of nothing. But I think you're going to see the formation switch constantly on every snap. I think it is see McCaffrey come out in the slot. You can see McCaffrey line up all the way wide. So that's what worries me. The chess piece here is McCaffrey, and the matchup, whoever he's on. You're probably going to see Fred Warner on him a lot, maybe Quan a lot, maybe a safety on him a lot. If he lines up wide as a receiver, I'd like to see Mosley on him because the speed is similar. I don't want to see Sherman on him. I don't want to see Sherman on Samuel either. That's concerning.
So you can't pick two corners to, not cover. You can't pick them to not cover two guys. So what are you doing with them?
I'd rather see him versus DJ Moore because I think Sherman could get up on DJ Moore and outwit him football IQ wise, mind wise. And I'm sure Sherman watches a ton of tape, so he's going to know when they break off their routes, where they're breaking in, they're breaking out. He has a competitive edge that way. But if it comes to speed, that I'm just a little nervous with that. But listen, it all comes up to their front five versus our front four. if our front four wins consistently, down in and down out, it doesn't matter who's outside and how fast they are, because we're going to get back there. And he's the type of quarterback where if you get him off his platform, fumbling, stuff like that, throwing bad passes, that's how this defense makes its money.
I have their PFF information pulled up here. Actually, I don't. It's not loading their offensive side. It's only loading their defensive side, and I'm clicking it over and over. I was going to try to break it down for you guys, but
I'm going to see if I can find their offensive line.
Yeah, I had it here, and it's not giving it to me for some reason. Oh, here we go. So the issue is that we're not quite sure who's going to be starting. They have Williams. They have Darrell Williams penciled in as the left tackle right now, and he is only graded at a 54.9. So the problem with that is he might not be the guy that's playing. They're getting some guys back off of injury. But right now they have him penciled in as left tackle. They have Van Roten as 61.9 as their left guard. Their center is graded at a 48.3. And Paradis. Turner is listed as their right guard right now at 64.5. And then Moten is at a 70.3 as their right tackle. I don't think this is the offensive line that we see today, though. I don't. I think that there's going to be some changes, but I mean, we'll see what happens. If this is the line they trot out here, then the Niners should have their way with it. And I'm not just saying that based off of numbers. I'm saying that based off of I don't know. Darrell Williams shouldn't be out there.
Do we have an injury report for them?
Not yet. Not a full one. It hasn't come out yet. I can pull up the injury report from during the week, but the full one hasn't come out yet. I don't know if Nick has access to it over there. Let me see if I can find it here. Panthers injury report. Let's see if I can find it. Jashawn Page, thanks for the contribution, man. We really appreciate it. You guys, I can't tell you guys how much we appreciate all the help you guys give us. Keep bringing you guys some consistent content and more things coming soon. I'm excited. Sorry. Panthers injury report for week 8 so far. They have Brian Burns, his wrist injury. You guys said he's going to play clubbed up, which I still think is going to be hard. Dennis Daly, the tackle with a groin. Greg Little, the other tackle with a concussion. He is probably not going to play. Cam Newton's foot, obviously. Christian Miller has an ankle issue. Gerald McCoy had a knee bothering him. Shaq Thompson, the linebacker, an ankle issue. Mario Addison had a knee issue. Dante Jackson, this is a big name here, their corner, groin. He might be back in there. Tyler Larson, center, but he's a backup. He had a back injury. Greg Olson, finger. Eric Reed, ankle. And Trey Turner, the guard. I expect to see Trey Turner back in there also with an ankle injury. So that's what they have so far.
And Turner wasn't on that projection, that PFF projection?
Right, but I think Trey Turner's going to play.
Okay. So
I do
he's
think
probably their best interior lineman, Trey Turner.
He is. And that's what I'm saying. I don't think that the PFF, the matchup one is going to – I don't think that's accurate at all. So,
but I know Matt Paradis is their starting center, and the 46 is – we got
to hope the interior guys get after it. So yeah. I'm seeing a lot of comments in here, Nick, about the winds today.
23 miles an hour at game time.
Yeah, that's because of the Santa Ana winds or something. I don't know.
Give me a bold prediction on Robbie Gould, Nick.
So from 12 p.m. it's going to be 20 miles an hour, 23 miles an hour at 1 p.m. to 3 p.m., and then it drops down to 18 miles an hour after game and then continues to go down. I'm not even just going to give you a prediction on Robbie Gould. I'm going to give you a prediction on throwing the football today too, because it doesn't just affect field goals. You have to throw the football too. So last week we got hit with the rain. We overcame it. So YNW Jamal says there have been winds up to like 90 miles per hour recorded in the Bay today. So I've been seeing a lot of reports. I just looked up the weather report.
Did you say 90?
90. I don't know where that's at. in the Bay Area.
Yeah, it's probably literally in the Bay, like by the wharf and stuff. You'll never get that in Santa Clara, but
no, unless it's 70 miles an hour is a Category 1 hurricane.
Yeah.
So, but you'll get gusts of 40. With a 23 mile an hour sustained wind, you'll get gusts of 40. You'll get a gust of 45, maybe 50. But, I don't think this really this is where, obviously, I know, Mike, you keep harping on Robbie Gould. Every week, it's just harp on Robbie Gould. You have no faith in this guy, none whatsoever, which is fine. That's your opinion. But you also got to think that, one, Levi Stadium is already hard as shit to kick in with the way that the wind is calculated. So, one, if you take Robbie Gould out of the game with kicking, you also take out their kicker out of the same game with kicking. I would have more trust in Robbie Gould kicking at Levi than I would any other kicker, knowing Levi Stadium, the way the winds whip and things like that. I would take Robbie Gould over any kicker in Levi Stadium. Whether he's having a good year or a bad year, I would still take him over them. But this also factors into who's going to run the football better. Because last week we had rain. We saw some second half throws. Not all of them were pretty. The one to Kendrick Bourne should have been a touchdown, right? Not because he was touched, but because Kendrick Bourne had to stop and come back to the football, right? So it was a bad throw. If the throw was on money, Kendrick Bourne walks into the end zone easily. Same thing. Richie James was a good throw. If George Kittle doesn't tackle Richie James there, we score a touchdown there too. Right? So, you go back to the Marquise Goodwin last week. Well, 2 weeks ago. He had to stop and come back to the football. So you add in wind and stuff as well with what we're going on with Jimmy Garoppolo's footwork and the way that he's throwing off his back foot and things like that. That worries me a little bit too. So pound the rock, man. Pound the rock today.
So are you saying that Jimmy Garoppolo is not going to have a good game?
I don't think it's going to be Jimmy Garoppolo doesn't have a good game, but I don't think he throws for over 250 yards.
That's going to bring me to our next point, actually. So it's a really good topic here. The 49ers have traded for a wide receiver, 32-year-old Emmanuel Sanders, and I think he is going to get a lot of action today in the slot in particular. Slot wide receivers aren't often deep threats, right? They get in the ball in short, shallow routes, get the ball in their hands quickly, give them the ball in space, and let them work. Nick, tell me if I'm wrong, but an Augusta game, you want short, precise routes. You want short passes, right? Is this a good game for Emmanuel Sanders to be here, fellas? What do you guys think about that?
Yeah, obviously. I think any game going from here on out, the minute we got him, is a good game for him to be here. He ups the threat as a receiver. He opens up the middle of the field by pulling people out for a guy like George Kittle or underneath guy or a running back. He changes the whole dynamic of this whole offense. Whether we want to look at it as he's a number one wide receiver or he's not a number one wide receiver, but you already have a speedy guy in Marquise Goodwin, whether he plays this week or not, in a guy who can stretch the field with speed. Then you have a guy who can run really, really good routes, whether it's an 18 comeback, whether it's just a dig and go, whether it's a stop and go, whatever it is, he can run the route. So I would look for him to so this is what you go back to. You have to look at it as if he goes out there and has 50 yards receiving, is he a factor? Right? Or are you considering a factor to where he has 120 yards and 2 touchdowns is where he's a factor? To me, him being on the field is a factor. It starts right there.
But I'm talking more specifically about with the wind conditions and the weather. Is this a better game for him? Because throwing to the outside, you know how wide the field is. This is going to be short and direct right in front of Jimmy Garoppolo. We're talking 10, 15-yard passes as far as grounds to cover. Do you think that benefits him in today's matchup?
Well, I do. And I told you earlier, I think that we have to get the run game going to establish the slants, the quick slants, get rid of the football, things like that. And he's very, very good at those. You also have to look at other underneath guys, because are you going to try to use Emmanuel Sanders to stretch the field, pull things backwards? You know what I mean? Pull him away from you. I think this is a great game for him with the wind conditions and things like that. I just don't think we're going to pass as much as people think we're going to pass today.
All right, Tony, I want to know your thoughts on it, man. Let me know what you think about Emmanuel Sanders and his effects on today's game, along with the weather conditions. And Nick said something about down the field threat. With the wind being the way it is, do we possibly not see Marquise Goodwin playing today because the down the field threat is kind of taken out with the winds, right? Or do they put him out there?
Well, I mean, it all depends on how Marquise Goodwin feels with his situation that he's dealing with off the field if he's going to play today. It's not going to be the wind. But I still think you're going to see Kyle stream him right down the seams, because you have to respect that. Wind or no wind, it's evident. You have a guy flying down the field at 4.3 speed, you're not just going to let him run. So I think you're going to see Sanders work the intermediate of the field and try to get the ball in his hands quick and maybe get yards after the catch to move the chains. Also, I think just because Sanders is on the field, Nick said it, you're going to open up everybody else. Now you might see Dante Pettis actually do something, because the focal point is not just Kittle and Pettis or Kittle and Goodwin. Now you have Sanders that they have to account for if they come out with the three wides. So just him being on the field is going to help this offense a lot. Yeah, I mean, that's pretty much it. You're going to see a quick game, him get the ball in his hands and try to go.
All right. I mean, that sounds good. I'm going to bring in our guest here. We got Nick Cork back, my man from across the seas. What's going on, big fella? How you doing over there, my man?
Across the pond, baby. Yeah, I'm good. I'm good, Mike. Hi, Tony. How you doing, guys?
What's up, Nick? How are you?
Yeah, pretty good, pretty good. It's 3:45. The clock went back, so all the games are a bit earlier. You snuck on today. I've been out and about and didn't see that you'd gone live. So, yeah, no, all good here, all good. Quick shout out. I want to wish a serious 49er fan on Twitter. It's her birthday, Laura, today. Happy birthday, Laura. Let's get it.
There you go. Happy birthday to Laura. Now, Nick, man, we're talking about the 49ers offense right now. How do we attack today? We're hearing that it's going to be a gusty winds out there. I personally don't think that bodes well for Robbie Gould, whether he had his long snapper back or not. What's the plan of attack here? How do we go after these guys? Is this going to limit the passing game, or do we hope that Jimmy can put enough zip on it to cut through the winds?
I think if the weather or the wind is like it is, I think we're going to see a lot of play action passes, short, intermediate routes possibly. But I still think we're going to pound that rock today. We're going to do probably a lot of screen passes as well. I want to see Jimmy air it out, because he's got to have a coming out game soon. It's coming. But again, it could have been last week, but obviously we know about the slot last week. And today, of course, it could spoil the game purely because of the wind. But I think there's going to be a lot of short and intermediate routes. I don't think they're going to try and stretch the field. Again, depends which way the wind's going. I'm excited to see the new receiver in there, see what he can do. I think George Kittle is going to be in the game a lot. So, yeah, it'll be interesting to see.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I'm really looking forward to this game. And overall, I think it's going to be – I said at the end of my bold prediction here, if you like defensive battles, I think you're going to see it. But there's also going to be enough offense and chess. These two guys, Kyle Shanahan and Norv Turner, are really going to put their pieces out there. The Panthers would love nothing more than to make a statement and to come into Santa Clara and upset the 49ers. They would love nothing more than to do that. You know what I'm saying? And so if that's the case, what better way to do it, with this quarterback that you're hoping to probably drum up some trade interest in. This is an undrafted guy in his second year, right? I don't think they're planning on moving on from Cam Newton. And so get some interest for this guy and you can maybe move him. If he beats the 49ers this week, it's going to look good for him. So I think Norv Turner's going to dial up a lot of very interesting stuff. And I think Shanahan wants to say, hey, we're home. We got to show people why we're top dog. Kyle Shanahan has been bragging about the Carolina Panthers defense all week long. That says something to me. That tells me that he's got something in mind. He's scheming something. And so if that's the case, then we got a good shot at Kyle Shanahan being able to, make a statement like Nick was saying. Maybe this is a statement game for Jimmy Garoppolo. Now, Nick in the top corner was saying that he doesn't think Garoppolo passes for 250 yards today. He's done that just twice this season, if I'm not mistaken, passed for more than 250 yards. I'm going to say he gets it today. I do think he gets it today. But here's my biggest concern for everybody. I want to ask you guys all this. Are you concerned about our offensive line? No one's mentioning our offensive line against these guys. Nick has talked about how much we should respect their front four and that they get after it at a higher clip than we do. Are you guys worried about our offensive line holding up against the Panthers' defensive line? Anybody? Nick?
All right. I thought you were going to say who you wanted to answer first. So, all right, look, like I said, this really boils down to me with the factor of Levine Toilolo. How does he factor into this game to help out our tackles? Because Brian Burns is no beat. I mean, like, no slouch. You know what I mean? We talked about it all off season. We talked, people were, I know Scott and I love Brian Burns coming out as well. And a few other guys in the chat as well. I can't remember all of them who liked him, but he was a productive player in college, and that production has come to the field at the NFL level. He's showing out, right? And if it wasn't for Bosa right now, I think he'd probably be, if Bosa wasn't playing the way that he is, I think he'd be one of the top rookies in the league up there where Bosa's at right now. But Bosa's pressures and things like that have taken a name away from this kid, as in what he's done this year, right? So I think this offensive line is going to be a huge factor. We've said this week in, week out, right? We've said this week in, week out for the last 4 weeks. And we come to see, the Niners have only given up, what did we give up over the last 3 weeks? 2 sacks, I think. So, these guys are answering the call. And it's not just them, but it's also parts to them being successful is the way that Kyle Shanahan gives them help. And Levine Toilolo was a big part of that. Now, if he's going to go today, fine. Is he going to be 100%? Is he going to truly help us? Help with those, those quick chips and things like that and holding back? Because it does. I know and I've said this earlier, I know it's not a guy who is going to catch, 10 receptions for 100 yards. He's a guy that can block his ass off. He blocks really, really well, and he helps with the run game. And I really think that this game comes down to who establishes the run, who has a better run game, and continues to move the chains. And that's where I really think it comes down to. And I'm considering Levine Toilolo in there with the offensive line because of what Kyle Shanahan uses him as to help Brunskill, to help Justin Skule. Because if we have to use George Kittle, our run game is going to be fine, but it also takes away that factor of, okay, we got 8 in the box. There's going to be true 8 in the box now. It's not somebody's going to have to drop out and cover George Kittle off of the line of scrimmage. So it definitely has a benefit. It's going to be a huge benefiting factor.
All right, let's hear from Tony on this right now. What do you think about all that, and how do you think this offensive line does? And also, that 8 in the box theory. Well, never mind. I'll save it for when I go. Go ahead, Tony.
I think just off of formations, I don't think you'll ever see 8 in the box unless Kyle comes out with like a 2 tight end set with a single receiver. But if he's standing up Kittle flexed off the line, like a 2x2 off the tackle, you're not going to see 8 men in the box. I think you're going to see a lot of motions, and possibly Kittle or Dwelly motioning, chipping the backside end and going out into a route like when Kyle ran that fullback wheel route after he chipped the defensive end. I forgot who it was. I think it was against Pittsburgh. And he ran down the sideline and Jimmy floated him one. I don't know if he caught it or it was a good play by the defender, but you're going to see a lot of that where you'll see it'll start off as an I. You'll see Dwelly like shift at the snap. He's going to come back across the formation, chip that in, and release into a route. It's simple, like stupid little things like that is how Kyle takes advantage of his knowledge in scheming up a plan and scheming up a protection. I honestly think I want to see School try to deal with it one-on-one. I would love to see that. Brunskill, we got to see. He struggled last week. He did not have a good game. But the thing about it the week before that, he did pretty well versus Dante Fowler. So I'm a little confused about that. But I think schematically, Kyle's going to eliminate their ends. Don't ask me how. I think that's one way how I just said it, but there's probably numerous sliding protections and stuff like that. But I think he could handle that front four from the Carolina Panthers. Because if he comes out and runs the ball, they have to play honest. They can't just keep pinning their ears back every friggin' play. Then that's where Kyle could throw even in a screen game. All right? You have a back offset with Jimmy, whether it's Mostert, Coleman, not McKinnon. Jesus God, Breida. He can, chip, release, turn right around, catch the screen. You get Weston Richburg and Person pulling out in front of him. You got a lot of green real estate if you block it right. So I think Kyle's play calling is going to slow down their aggressiveness as a whole, as that defensive line, especially the edge guys.
You kind of touched on what I was going to say about the 8-man in the boxing. I think we see a lot of 3 wide receiver sets this week. Whether we're throwing the ball a lot or not, I think we see it just to keep their defensive personnel to match up in favorable conditions for us. So, Nick, Cork. Is it Cork or Corky?
No, it's Cork. Don't ever call me Corky. Thank you very much.
Look at that. Touched the nerve that quick.
Yeah, that was quite fast. That was quite fast. Yeah, I agree with everything that's said. But I think the X factor here is Kyle Shanahan. Every week when I listen to you guys and I've come on and everything, and we just don't know what he's going to do. His scheme, every time he runs a play, it's different. He works out the defensive weakness, whether it's on the run, whether it's the pass. And I'm actually not that worried. I must admit, I'm actually not that worried. I don't think it's going to be. I mean, I've said 27-13 Niners today, but you just got to believe in what Kyle is going to do with this system. You've got to believe the defense is going to be lights out. We all know that. Somehow, again, they're going to scheme a way to stop McCaffrey, force Allen to pass. I honestly think he isn't great under pressure. Everybody knows he's not great under pressure. We will get pressure. The offensive line for us, again, Kyle will scheme a way that we are successful. And that's really big for me, is the fact that you know Kyle is going to do what he needs to do. And I'd like to do a deep dive on X's and O's, but he just knows what he's doing, and that's the biggest thing for me.
Yeah, he's a mastermind. He's an evil scientist. You know what I mean? This guy is back there working up something. He is looking at how each individual on the Panthers defense reacts to a certain motion, to a certain formation, and he's going to use that against them every single week, which goes back to what you were saying in the very beginning, Nick Cork, that the 49ers fans have a hard time deciphering what the game plan is going to be from week to week. We watch this stuff day in, day out, week after week, and multiple times a week. We can't tell you what Kyle Shanahan is going to do. How the heck can they do it? How the heck can they tell us? And the reason is because Shanahan, this goes back to something Nick was saying last week, Shanahan comes up with original game plans of attack for the opponents that specific week. It's not just, here are my plays and I'm going to run these things. Go ahead, Tony. He
has experience being in Atlanta facing this defense. And like I said on the show previously, the base of this defense is Steve Wilkes. Look what happened versus the Browns with a better front. I mean, I think Kyle knows the weaknesses and where to attack. The only thing that elevates this defense maybe as a front seven overall is Kuechly and Shaq Thompson. They're two phenomenal linebackers. But, I mean, you have Myles Garrett in Cleveland, Olivier Vernon, okay, Sheldon Richardson, Obiyogi, whatever his name is, as a unit. And I think we did pretty darn well against that unit. I mean, look, remember the 14 Lucy? They scored on the first play. Kyle called that play a week in the beginning of the week of preparing for that team. He might do the same thing this week.
I'm with you on that, man. And I see people saw me making faces. My daughter was sticking her tongue out and stuff at me, so I had to clap back. I can't let her just win. So, people saw me doing that, so you stop. All right, so there's another section that we haven't talked about. Talk about the offense. We talked about the defense. Special teams is going to be key. Nick touched on it a little bit earlier with my faith or lack of in Robbie Gould. It's still a factor in the game. It's points. It's field position. And then there's the punt return and kickoff return team. So let's talk about the special teams really quick, and then we can wrap this thing up because we're over our hour mark, or we're getting close to it. So what are your guys' thoughts on it? I'll go first here because you guys already know how I feel. No confidence in Robbie Gould. He's going to miss another kick this week, and I can't wait to hear the excuses then. I still can't wait to hear the excuses for Robbie Gould. As far as kickoffs go and punting goes, I think that we have an advantage this week. With the winds being the way that they are, I think the Niners have an advantage in the punting game because our kicker can do a couple of different types of kicks. And we're going to – usually we defer, but the Panthers will get to pick the direction of everything happening. So we'll see how that goes out and how that plays from quarter to quarter. I think we see a couple of punts where we pin them inside the 10 this week, not just inside the 20. And so I like our gunners in punting situation and even kickoff situations. If it's as windy as it is, it's going to be harder for guys to decipher where the ball is going to go. Benefit to the gunners. We have the better gunners. So I think special teams is in our favor, except for number 9. So your guys' thoughts on special teams?
I think it, like you said, I think it'll be a big factor, but I don't think it's going to be such a big factor with us. I'm calling we only punt the ball twice today. I'm calling we only punt the ball twice today.
Do we have any turnovers?
Do we?
Yeah.
As in we give up turnovers?
Yeah, like Jimmy Garoppolo and the offense turn over the ball to the Panthers.
I think he'll have an interception today.
All right. It's still only 2 punts.
Still only 2 punts. I'm going with only 2 punts. I think we're going to dominate in the run game today. And I think this defense is just going to be fired up. The only thing that I'm worried about defensively, and you guys are all going to laugh at me for this, all going to laugh at me, but it's Fred Warner. I'm worried about Fred Warner with Christian McCaffrey today. If you go back and watch all this tape that we've been seeing, Fred Warner the past 3 weeks has been missing a ton of assignments. A ton of assignments. He's waiting so long to fill the gaps that he's getting picked up by blockers that aren't even his, that block him, not technically put their hands on him, but block him from getting to the play. That's why you've seen so many tackles for Quan Alexander the last 2 weeks. Fred Warner has been scaring me the last 2 weeks watching tape. And I don't know what it is. I don't know why it's that way because I know that he can fill these gaps. He scrapes so long and he sees the hole, but instead of committing to it, he waits just that 1, 2, 3, 1.5, 2.5 seconds late and then proceeds to get to the ball, but gets picked up by somebody else's blocker to not allow him. So that's one of the things I'm worried about today with Christian McCaffrey and their offense and our defense with Fred Warner. But special teams, I think we have 2 punts. And I think Richie James gets a punt return today as a bold prediction for 40 yards. It's going to be as long for a punt return today.
All right. We'll see what happens, man. Let's go with Tony and then to Nick, the other Nick, Cork.
So what's this about? Special teams? Listen, Kyle Nelson's back. So I'm sure they worked in practice. I know the wind is going to be whipping, but Robbie knows how to kick in that stadium. I'm sure he's probably out there, not now, but an hour or two before the game, getting some reps in with Kyle and Mitch. If there's a 20, 30 mile an hour gust at the time where the ball snap, you can't predict that. You just try to do your best. Will he miss some today? Maybe. But I'd rather have him than the Panthers kicker, because I think his experience kicking in that stadium. As far as the punting goes, I agree with Mike. The punter, we have an advantage with him because the way he kicks, multiple ways he can kick. So Mike touched on that. I agree with him with that. Our gunners are probably the best in the NFL, getting down the field, blowing up the plays. And I think it's going to be an okay day for the special teams. I actually think, I would like to see a block today from like Nazaucha or something. I want to see a punt block today.
I like that. How's that for a bold prediction, huh? Know you guys been looking for it. Hey, I saw a comment in here. Someone said that Robinson said something. Anybody catch that? What did Robinson say about the Niners? Anybody catch that? If you guys in the chat hear this, let me know. I think it was David Yang that said it. Let me know what Robinson said. I didn't hear it. Nick, that's the one. That's the one we'll be wearing today. Nick, let me know what your thoughts are on the special teams unit today. How you feeling about it? And give us a bold prediction, man.
Okay, so I've got no problems with Robbie Gould at all. Still, he knows how to kick in this stadium. I know he knows how to kick in this stadium. The kick he missed last week, I think, was more down to the fact of the field footing than anything else. And obviously, watching I think it was the preview part 1 when you were talking about the Australian assassin. He hasn't actually had to do any work, particularly, because he hasn't punted really. No one has seen what he can do, so his stats are down. I don't want him to be punting from the 5-yard line and stuff like that, but I don't think we've seen his full potential of how good of a kicker he is, because of obviously the Niners move the ball, they score. We're punting from the 40-yard or the 50-yard line. So it's hard to judge whether he's had a good season or not. Also, as well, I think you were talking about fair catching and things in the show the other day. And that really annoys me when, obviously, you can't see it on the TV, but all this fair catching and getting out of the way and stuff like that. If the ball's there to return it. If you get 5 yards, you get 10 yards. It doesn't matter. Don't just get out the way and then the ball goes over your head and puts us in a worse field position. And that really grinds my gears. But I think I don't see any issues. I think Robbie Gould will be okay today. I know Mike doesn't like him that much, but yeah, I'm still on Team Gould. But I'd like to see Mitch do some coffin corner punts, things like that, so we can see what happens.
It'll be really interesting to see if he's effective with directional punting, especially with the wind today. You know what I'm saying? And so it's all going to be really interesting. He could get some extra yardage out of it, could count against him. It's going to be really fun to watch and see how it all plays out. Did you give me a bold prediction, Nick?
No, sorry, I didn't. Okay, so I'm going with 2 pick sixes for the Niners. That's my bold prediction. 27-13, Niners, 2 pick sixes, 1 from Sherman, maybe 1 from one of the safeties. And, yeah, let's do this.
Ooh, 2 pick sixes. All right, I'm going to give you guys a bold prediction that I did not put in my article. Nick, I want you to give us another one also. I mean, well, you've kind of been dropping them all game. You said not 250 yards for Garoppolo. You said a big return for Richie James, didn't you? A 56-yarder or something like that, you said? So you didn't say a 56-yard return for Richie James? I swear you did. What'd you say?
40 yards.
Oh, 40. Well, 56 sounds better. But either way, a 40-yard return is still huge. That's huge. So I like that also. I'm going to go with – Daddy. Yeah, hi, I'm Daddy. I'm going to go with I'm going to say Jimmy Garoppolo completes a 70-plus yard touchdown pass today. Not 70 yards in the air. It might just be a slant that goes to the house, but Jimmy Garoppolo has a touchdown play over 70 yards. I don't think this is going to be a high-scoring game. Do you guys think it's going to be really high-scoring? I mean, Nick has us only punting twice, so what do you think the score is? Robbie Gould is definitely going to miss at least one field goal. We know that.
What do I think the score is going to be?
Huh?
What do I think the score is going to be?
Everybody, yeah. I mean, just roughly. I mean, I know Tony doesn't like doing score predictions, but do you think it's going to be a high-scoring game is what I'm wondering.
I think it's going to be 34-13 Niners.
27-13 Niners, and nice to see your daughter is stealing the show again, Mike.
Tony, what are you thinking, man? Is it going to be Kyle Allen hanging 31 on us like no! Stop it. Yeah,
Please, what is it like?
Even my daughter knows better.
I'm looking at the stats right now of his last 1, 2, 3. His stats as a starter through 4 games. He had one good game statistically versus Tampa. He threw 20 for 32, 227, 2 touchdowns. He was sacked twice. Jacksonville, 17 for 30, 181, 1 touchdown. Sacked 3 times. Houston, 24-34, 232, 3 touchdowns. No, sorry. 0 touchdowns, sacked 3 times. Arizona, 19 for 26 for 261 and 4 touchdowns. Okay, Arizona doesn't have the greatest secondary in the world. Tampa doesn't have the best defense in the world.
He threw 4 touchdowns with only 19 passes. That lets you know how loose that secondary was.
Yeah. Jacksonville's defense not what it used to be. Houston's defense is okay. I mean, but he's getting hit 2, 3, 3, 2, 10 sacks in 4 games. And those are against them, those off defensive lines.
And he's fumbled the ball 6 times with those sacks. I think they recovered 2 of them, so he's giving up the ball also. They talk a lot about how he hasn't thrown any interceptions, but you don't need to throw interceptions when you're giving up the sack fumbles also. Sorry, Tony, I wasn't trying to cut you off, but
no, you're good.
I wanted to talk about there, so go ahead.
Again, you're starting to see there's still no respect for this team through the media. And I don't know what the hell it is. But if I recall, when we played the Rams, everyone's like, oh, this is their first true test, da-da-da-da. Okay, we beat the Rams. Now the Rams aren't nothing. Now we played nobody. Like, if you don't like the 49ers, just say it. Don't even say anything about them. But don't knock a team consistently who's winning, who's undefeated, who's, fighting through adversity. We played in a friggin' hurricane. We were down 1, 2, 3, 4 starters. Like, what more do you guys as national media want? Like, it's kind of annoying now, but it is what it is. It's not going to – this guy said the 49ers are overrated. Yeah, okay. But it is what it is. I guess we'll never get respect until we get a ring. Even then, they'll probably make an excuse for something, but it is what it is, man.
Sorry, that's the thing that really annoys me about the media. And I know we're all homers, I get that. But when are the Niners going to get some respect? Okay, so we're on the West Coast, and it's NFL Network is all East Coast bias. It always has been, it always will be. And that really, really pisses me off because we are legit this season. Yes, the offense hasn't been great, but we're still winning. And, even today I was watching NFL Network. And again, the only thing that they were focusing on was National Tie-Ins Day and George Kittle was getting all the love. But well, I can't swear because I know it's PG, but yeah, I'm not happy. I don't know what we have to do, because if we win today, it will be, oh, well, Christian McCaffrey hurt his ankle, or Josh Allen got hit early and he wasn't the same, and this, that, and the other. Or even if it was Cam Newton in there, they'd still be, oh, well, yeah, he hurt his foot and this. And it just, yeah, it just annoys me.
Other Nick, I saw you wanted to jump in a couple of times. Like, I saw you biting your tongue. What's up, buddy? What are you thinking over there?
Who cares what the hell the media has to say? Like, really? I mean, to me, like, who cares? Like, yes, I want to see more 49er coverage, and I want to hear people talking well about our team. But day in, day out, no matter what the consequences are, the Niners are coming out on top. They're going to continue to play. Like Tony said, oh, it was the Browns game, then it was the Rams game, and we beat them, and we beat them. The problem is with this media nowadays is I don't think they don't think we're not good. I think they just don't want to believe that we're good, because there's their backstory of, well, who is Jimmy Garoppolo? What really is Jimmy Garoppolo? He came in here, he won 5 games, he had a season-ending injury. This team shouldn't have turned around as fast as it did. Who are the 49ers? Well, statistically, we're putting it out there, and we're putting it out there of who we are. But when you ask these players and you ask these fans, like, people, who cares? Like, at the end of the day, it's 2 NFL teams, 2 grown men teams lining up against each other. Anything can happen. And we have you heard Kyle Shanahan on the last 49 hours. We've won a game easy. We've won a game through adversity. We've won a game through torrential downpours. We just continue to win. And that's all that we need to do, is just continue to play our football. Who cares if guess what? At the end of the day, they're going to be wanting to interview players on this team when we win a Super Bowl. And people are just going to look at them and say, wow, like, who cares? Like, to me, like, I do want to hear good things about the Niners. And I can honestly tell you, it's flipped a little bit. There has been more Niner coverage. People are picking the Niners to win now. People are talking about the Niners defense. You've had Ryan Clark switch around. You've had Adam Rank switch around. You've had Michael Irvin switch around. Like, you've had Chris Sims. A ton of media guys have flopped on what they think about this team. So when you guys are saying that I don't want to hear the truth, like, I want to hear that these guys believe in us, they're already showing you that. They're just not giving you the coverage that you want, that the Patriots are getting. But to me, the Patriots are the same. Like, the Patriots are always going to be the Patriots. The Patriots and the Cowboys, NFL Network loves them. It's the whole Tom Brady thing. It's the whole America's team thing with the Cowboys. So, like, who the hell cares? Like, just continue to play football. Because in the end, the doubters are going to be the doubters, and the people who stuck with them or the people who doubted are going to flip one way or another.
Sorry, Nick, can I just jump in? Because obviously I'm quite new. No, I'm not quite new. Back in the day when Montana was doing it, when Young was doing it, obviously we had no coverage over here. Nothing. We couldn't. USA Today, when I used to clean aircraft for a living, was the only time I'd get any information on the Niners. Has it always been that it's every other team except the Niners, or is it that Brady and the East Coast and all the other teams are better? Because I've not seen it for myself. I mean, I've had Game Pass for, I don't know, 7-8 years now, and I've never seen 49er love. Yes, we've sucked. I get that. But even back in the heyday when it was Montana to Rice and Young and everyone else, were we getting the exposure then?
Yeah, because we were winning. that team was a dynasty team. It's the same. It was coverage about the Niners compared to what you hear about the Patriots right now. The Patriots have won over and over and over again. They're gonna be talked about because they are, quote unquote, the best team in the NFL right now because they are the reigning Super Bowl champions. So, like, that's where you get that credit. But to go back real quick, and then I see Mike biting at his tongue or biting at his fingernails over there of what he wants to say. But I don't think it's that they don't believe that we're a good team. I think it's just, I think they think we're a good team, but they just don't really know yet. Because there are factors. This is our first team we're playing with a good record. Like, that's where I think this keeps going.
When we played the Rams, they had a winning record. This is going to be the second team we played with a winning record. They said the 2000 Ravens and the 85 Bears, they only played like 6 teams that had winning records those seasons. So there's always going to be a reason to scrutinize. You get what I'm saying?
Right.
These teams get losses because they played us. You get what I'm saying? So the overall records are also going to be skewed because of that as well. The other thing is, even when we were good those 3 years with the NFC Championship games, they still said, well, the Niners offense is this. Or can they do it if this? Can they do it? Was still like a lot of that. Like when you hear talk about the Patriots, is guys, it's Tom Brady. They'll figure it out. It doesn't matter who they're playing against. It was always about the Patriots. And when the Patriots lose, they beat themselves. It was never that the opponent was better. It was that they beat themselves, right? So we're not ever going to get that. We're never going to get that. But I do care what the media is saying. I'm always going to listen, and I'm going to use it to fuel my fire, and I'm going to keep it, I'm going to keep it going. So that's just what it is. But
right. And I didn't mean like you can't care what they're saying. Like, just like you just said, it's fuel for your fire, just like it is for our team. Don't you think this team hears what they're saying? Obviously, they do. Richard Sherman comes out and says, if you thought we were a pretender, then stay that we're pretenders. You know what I mean? Like, don't come jumping over here now, which is fine. Like, that's good. Like, to me, I'd rather be the underdog day in, week in, week out. Because it just fuels this young team to say, okay, they don't believe in us. We're going to have to go out each week and prove that they need to believe in us. Like, and that's just not trying to be a homer. Like, it is what it is. Like, me personally playing, I'd rather be the underdog if I was a player. Like, fine, don't believe in me. I'm going to show you day in, day out that you should believe in me.
And when it's all said and done, I mean, the biggest indicator is Vegas. Vegas has its favorites. The Niners haven't been favorites in back-to-back games in a really long time. We weren't favorites, especially with one of those games being on the road. It just doesn't happen often. And so here we are. You guys can say that the media is saying whatever, and the media they have an agenda to drive. They do have things that have headlines to write and things like that. But Vegas is telling you what is real or closer to real. We've been favorites the last 2 games, one of those being on the road by double digits. Like, guys, the Niners are a good team, all right? I don't care what Robinson has to say or anything like that. I know what to count and what not to count. We're good right now. So I think that's it, man. I think we beat this dead horse. Anybody here think the Niners going to lose? No?
No.
All right. I mean, would you be surprised if we lost?
No. Would I be surprised? Oh, would I be surprised if we lost? Yeah.
You would? Really? So you don't think the Panthers stand a chance? What about you,
I told you, 34-13, man. I think I think we dominate offensively with this game in time of possession. With time of possession, I think the defense gets 6 sacks today, and I think we get 2 turnovers.
I'm really not worried today. I was more worried last week against the Redskins because of the weather, and today I'm really not. I think Carl will scheme it up, and the defense is going to ball out, and everyone will be like, we're so pleased we beat the Carolina Panthers, but I think we exposed them for what they are. They're one-dimensional. If it isn't McCaffrey, it's nothing. And that's it. I think that's it.
I got
Go ahead.
I got one more bold prediction today because I didn't give that. You asked for another one. I think Deebo Samuel is the leading receiver today with 2 touchdowns.
And why is that?
Why is that?
Yeah.
Because of Emmanuel Sanders.
Thank you.
Are you saying red zone touchdowns or just touchdowns in general?
Touchdowns in general. I don't care where it comes from as long as.
So just because of that right there, Emmanuel Sanders is worth a third round pick.
Yep.
Just that reason right there. And if that comes out true, fuck.
Cool.
Fudge.
PG.
Right.
And with that,
hell with the third round pick. Sorry. But seriously, I just want to bring up one name that no one's talking about today. We went an hour and 20 minutes. Greg Olson. You got to watch out for him.
Old man Olson? Really?
why? I'm curious.
Sneaky, man. He's a witty veteran, and he's a sneaky SOB.
I hope that was apple juice, Nick, just like that. Did y'all see that? I'm sorry. I was impressed.
I'm getting in preparations for later on when I have to do the victory things. So it's
And
like 4:30 here, you know?
Yeah.
And another thing is, like, I just hope we're not so focused on McCaffrey, and that's where Olson could come in. You know what I'm saying? Like, they're going to have tunnel vision on stopping McCaffrey, and somebody else is going to be the one that could give us problems.
So here's my thinking with Olson, and this is why I didn't mention him at all. And my piece that I didn't mention Olson or McCaffrey, believe it or not, right? But I'm not afraid of his speed. His size is one thing, right? But other than potentially being a chain mover, what threat does he bring to the 49ers?
He's a chain mover. If he keeps moving the chains, they're moving down the field. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah, I get you, and that goes without. I mean, but like,
just gotta
so long you can dink and dunk against this team. This defense.
No, you're 100% right. You're 100% right. But I just hope they just don't have ton. And I know I met him a couple times because he's from obviously New Jersey. He went to Wayne Hills High School in northern New Jersey. I knew his father. I actually played a year for his father. But Greg Olson is here. He could be slow as you know what. As if he's running a little out or sitting across the middle of the defense, sitting in the zone and catches that ball, that's a first down. They get a new set of downs. Now you're talking about the defense being on the field longer. So I'm just throwing it out there. I'm not saying he's going to scorch us today. I'm not going to say he's going to have 2 touchdowns over 100 yards. No, but you got to watch him. That's all I'm saying. Pouring outside.
It's funny that you say that because Quan Alexander is going to be in coverage on him. And that's why I get so nervous about Fred Warner today with Christian McCaffrey.
They could use Tart on him also. Don't forget that Tart's playing down there a lot too. So,
well, the way that we're not even playing a true zone defense anymore. I mean, if you go and look at it, we have safeties down where it looks like the cover 3 single high, but it's really not because safeties drop back out and things like that. The coverages are a lot different this year. And you're right, Mike, we could use Tart or you could use Ward. Like either one of those guys you can use. Yeah.
I'm saying I wouldn't put Ward on him. The size difference.
No, but I'm just saying, like, you don't know where the coverage is coming from. But I would think that Quan Alexander is on him most. But like you said today, I'm not worried about any tight end that faces us because our speed has just been so good defensively. Like, even if they catch it in that little extra spot, they usually are right there or they're making the tackle very, very fast. And that's going to be another key to today. Swarm the ball. Swarm tackling, especially with Christian McCaffrey. But Tony, you're right. You can't forget about him.
Just one point on that. If we're worried about Greg Olson, it's game over because there's no way that Olson is going to carry this team. Yeah, he'll move the chains, but again, we'll stop him. I think we'll stop McCaffrey. I'm worried about McCaffrey in the pass game more than I am the rush game, to be honest. And I think the first drive that they get, they're probably going to put it 80 yards, whatever. We've seen that for the last few games. But if we're worried about Greg Olson, then sorry, this game is going to get away from us because he isn't what he used to be. He really isn't. He's short, intermediate routes. He won't get yak because they will just swarm tackle him.
No, you're 100% right. I agree with what you're saying, but if they're moving the chains, that means the defense is on that field longer, and that's when McCaffrey could get free or Samuels could get free on a deep route. I'm just
no, Tony. I'm 100% in agreement with you. You move the chains, it usually equals to points. It doesn't matter if it's a 5-yard, an 8-yard, even if it's a field goal, it still equals points. It's time of possession. If he catches and continues to move the chains, yes, it's something that you should worry about. But the Niners, if you think about it, the Niners over the last 3 weeks have not been allowing a lot of third down conversions.
No.
So we got to just keep that in mind too, because I just think we continue to play that way today.
I mean, we're going against a more sound offense than we have in the last 2 weeks. I think. Well, when they just destroyed Goff. I can't explain. They just destroyed him mentally, physically. I don't know what happened there. Last week, I kind of expected to see that, especially once we knew it was going to be a slot bowl. This week, I'm anxious to see what it's like with dry grounds. You know, I know we got the wins and everything, but I want to see some of that speed back out there that we have. You know, we talk about the speed aspect from Christian McCaffrey and the speed aspect from Samuels. You know what I'm saying? But the Niners have speed on both sides of the ball. It's documented that the fastest player in the NFL this year and last year so far has been Matt Breida. You know what I'm saying? We have those guys. Sanders, you know, like I said, he lost a step, but he's still quick. You know what I mean? I can't wait to see what it's going to be like. Deebo Samuel, like Nick was talking about. We're going to be just fine. I can't wait for it. So I'm done, man. Is there anything else you guys want to talk about before we get out of here? We got half hour before kickoff. I'm ready to get some food. And
you already been eating. I got one question for you, though.
Cookies don't count.
I got one question for you.
Who's got a better? Oh, no, never mind. Sorry.
No, I don't use that saying anymore.
What?
I don't use that saying anymore. It drives me nuts when people do. Anyway, question for all of you guys. The Niners, I've been talking about this for the entire year. The Niners come out on offense and are very sluggish starting off, right? It takes 1 to 3 drives for our offense to get going. Do you think we see a difference in that today? And also, last week was the first time we didn't score coming out of the half on our first possession. Do you think that we go back to that as well? So it's a two-part question.
I think that was weather related. That you got to just chalk that game up and get rid of it because, I mean, you were there. That place was ridiculous. That field. The first part, my opinion, I hope we go defense first. I hope we don't have to worry about getting the ball first and going down the field. I hope we go defense first. We stop them, get that crowd involved. Then we go out and score on the first play. I would love a touchdown, but if a field goal, it's a field goal. But
how's this for a bold prediction? Our first defensive possession, we get the ball back. Not a punt, a turnover. We force a turnover in our first defensive possession. Not that, we're going to run the ball down the middle and we're going to destroy you. And No.
Right, but that's not the question I'm asking. I'm asking, what do we do with our first offensive drive?
I'm not sure. Shanahan,
You mean like what kind of plays we're going to run?
I'm saying usually this year in our scripted plays, we have not scored at all.
Yeah.
So take the first, let's just say 3 drives. You go 3 and outs. That's 9 plays. It takes us to the 3rd or the 4th drive to actually start moving the football. Do we see a difference in that today? As in, the only drive we scored on this year on our first drive was Cleveland. And that was a run play that we ran 1 play.
If we don't score,
do you think we see differences in this offense this year? Or this,
I think you will see a difference. I think in Kyle's head, what he does is he takes that first drive and he runs his scripted plays and he sees how the defense reacts and adjusts. So now when he comes back out on his second series, he has his adjustments for their adjustments. Well, he has his adjustments, and now that defense is adjusting on what they saw on their first drive. And that's where I think Kyle's going to take advantage of this defense.
I'm with Tony. I don't think if we don't punch it in on the first series, second series we will adjust and we will score. It's it's all down to script at the end of the day, but I think the second series, if we don't score on the first, the second one will be the telling item, and we'll score.
We will not score on our first offensive possession, guys. We won't do it. Kyle Shanahan's going to test some of these guys out. They're getting back some corners also. They're getting back some corner help. Right now, Cockrell and Dante Jackson, and there's another guy. One of those guys is coming back off of concussion. So he's back this game. Shanahan is going to see how they move. The outside guy, they often play on the nickel, as a nickel. So they put him in the slot. Shanahan has to see who they're going to match up when he comes out in the 3-wide formation. So the first drive, the opening drive, is going to be about analytics. He's going to analyze, see what they're doing, make his notes, make his adjustments, and then we attack going forward. That's my prediction for that. And as far as the second half, do we score coming out of the second half? We attempt a field goal.
we attempt a field goal. I
Which,
love how,
of course, Robbie Gould is going to miss, according to Mike.
look, we attempt the field goal. I'm going to say that we are going to score on our first possession today. And I think it's going to be a big touchdown. And I wouldn't put it past seeing Deebo Samuel take it like 40, 45 yards on a slant.
Is that going to be my big touchdown for Jimmy Garoppolo on the opening drive? That'll be dope. Oh, look at this.
Oh, you said 70. I said 40 to 45. So
I'm saying, though, could it be that one, though?
it could be.
All right, let's see, man. If that happens, then I take back what I said. Obviously, we're going to score if that happens.
Do we know if Goodwin is active yet?
Nope, not yet.
Because I think, like what Nick said, I think there could be a big play and it could be Goodwin if he's active.
Yeah, he could be a factor, but I think if Goodwin is active, here's another little chess piece. If Goodwin is active, I think they keep Jackson on Goodwin as opposed to moving him back and forth to nickel because of the speed aspect. So we'll have to see how that plays out.
You obviously saw what happened the last time, and I know it was CJ Beat Hard who threw him the ball, but the last time he faced adversity with the miscarriage and stuff, what did he do?
I mean, he's been going through it. This one isn't about his kids though. This what he's been missing time for. So, knock on wood, Morgan and the pregnancy are still doing just fine. But we'll see what happens. You know, a lot of guys like to go out there and these dedication games. You look at Quan Alexander, his story coming to the Niners. One of the biggest things that came out was that game he had against the Falcons and Kyle Shanahan. He lost his brother, went out there and had a hell of a game. Had the game of his career. You know what I mean? Almost had that pick six. Remember, he just got ran down from behind. So it was really, really good. Not the situation, but his performance. So yeah, that's basically what it is. You know, I like it, man. I like it. Anything else, fellas? Going once, going twice. All right, guys, that's going to be it for this show. We're going to try to bring you guys something at halftime. Look for 2 guys on 1 camera type of thing, maybe 3, depending on who's there. We're going to do a little get-together. So the shows are going to be a little scattered, a little off schedule than what they normally are. What we're going to do is we're going out to a bar. we're going to be hanging out together, so we're going to have to try to bring them to you guys live. The overreaction show may even be delayed, all right, because we have to travel back home, and it's raining up here in the Northeast again. So the overreaction shows may be a little delayed, but we will bring them to you guys this evening. I promise. Make sure you guys hit that like and subscribe button. Turn on those notifications so that way you guys know exactly when we're going live. Hit up the website if you don't know where to give us a follow. That's www.nothingbutniners.com. You guys see all the Twitter handles. I am 49ers Mike _NFL. My man Nick is 49er Faithful 365. My other guy, Nick Quirk, is Win with Niners. 6-0, baby. And then last but certainly not least, my man Tony, NJ Niner Fan 499. We are signing out here. You guys know the deal. Prepare for glory.
Anticipate pain.
But always remain faithful.